Hello and welcome to Coding with SWE. Today, we're going to talk about types in computer programming. But first, let's start out by playing around with some Python. In Python, I've just made a calculator that can take in two numbers and add them together. The first thing we're going to do is prompt the user for the input of two numbers. Then, we're going to add those two numbers together. And finally, we'll print the result. This shouldn't be too complicated. Now when we add those two numbers together, this time we'll do 1 and 1, we should get 2. We got 11. That's strange. I wonder why. To understand why, we're going to need to learn about types. Let's start our discussion on types by talking about 3 examples of them. The first one, ints or integers, are any natural numbers. So 2, -3, 5, those are all examples of ints or integers. The next type, floats, are any number including those with decimal points. So 2.5, 5.1, or even 1.0. The last example, strings, are sequences of digits, letters, and symbols. So hello world is a string, as is SWE is awesome. The problem here is that the input method will prompt the user and return whatever the user input as a string, not an int. So when Python tries to add the first number and the second number together, they're both strings, and when you add two strings together, you just stick them together. This is why 1 and 1 add up to 11. To fix this, we need to tell Python that we need to turn the string into an integer. We do that by putting our input method inside of an int, so that the num1 and num2 will have integers, not strings. And now when we add them together, it'll add the numbers together properly. And here, let's make sure that the numbers are indeed getting added together properly. And yep, 1 plus 1 equals 2. Next, let's talk about another time when types can trip us up while we're writing code. This time, we're going to be writing in Java instead of Python. Here's a similar calculator to the one that I wrote in Python, but this time, this does division. First, I prompt the user for two integers, the dividend and the divisor. Next, I compute the division, and then I print the quotient. Now when we try to divide 5 by 2, we don't get 2.5 like we expect. We get 2. Well, you may guess that this is because integers can't represent decimal numbers. So, obviously we need to use a float to store the result. That's right, after making that change, we still get 2.0 as the result, not 2.5 like we expect. This is because it calculates 5 divided by 2 first, before putting it into a float, and since 5 and 2 are both ints, it automatically evaluates to another int, which later we turn into a float when we store it into a variable. To fix this, we just need to tell Java to change the type of 5 or 2 before we do the division. And now, as you can see, we're expecting. Thank you so much for joining me today and learning about types. Make sure you subscribe so you can stay tuned to all of our latest videos.